All right, hi everyone. So we are back with the map today. So as recap, so last week what we did was we came in and we modified the desert. So we threw in some sand dunes to break up the relative monotony of a big beige patch on the map. We added this cool little river area down here, so canyons, rivers, all that sort of good stuff. Added a small river here into the jungle and did a little bit of modification. We built our Mystic Forest area up here, gave it a lake, added some more hills and a few other transitional zones. We've got our Lost Continent, Lost Empire stuff going on here and here. And then we did a whole bunch of little quality of life improvements. So these are things like making sure that all the hills are behind the trees so you can see the trees properly, and really getting our order of objects here set so that it's right. And yeah, as you can see, it's definitely challenging because right now we've got 1,597 objects on the map, and we haven't even gotten into settlements, trails, paths, or anything else. Like, this is just what's on the map because it counts every little thing as a single object. And as you know, I'm Graham, also known as POC Gamer. I realize I should probably announce that at the beginning of these videos. And yeah, my background for all this sort of stuff is I am a giant nerd, and I'm also a former GIS technician. So I have a fair amount of mapping experience, although mostly in forestry. It's where I worked. Um, and yeah, so we are going to continue to build this map together. With the whole idea behind it being that space is compressed. Like, space doesn't matter. Hey, how's it going? Um, yeah, space doesn't matter for this at all. Like, so let's have some fun. So one of the things I'm actually going to do today, right away, is I'm going to sort out this river. Mostly because I don't like the path that's going right now. It's a little bit too straight, and like that's a feature that you'd see on a larger map. So I want to make it look, give it a little bit more windiness, to give it a bit more character and to break up the terrain a bit more, so it's not sort of this slash coming directly down across the map. So add circle. And the nice thing is it's like just that simple to fill the river in, and then I need to make this much smaller. Smaller. That didn't seem to make it smaller at all. So let's do some more adjustments. Switch to add. Just fill that back in. So tracks are going to come out. There we go. It never hurts to add little details like this. Zoom in a little bit more. And I realize that like zoomed in like this, it doesn't the fidelity doesn't look all that great, but when the map gets exported, it is all the difference. There we go. Oh, wrong color. Oh, foreground. Color that back in. Background. There we are. So I think that looks a lot better. So you've got some nice bends in the river now. A little bit more natural looking, insofar as natural is a thing. And yeah, let's see. It's got a message here. Ooh, nice. Right. It's okay. So that looks good. We've got our little mystic forest here. Got a couple of big trees, and the big magic one. Yeah, I dig that. I like it. Okay, so I'm going to add a few more trees over in here. Stamps. These jungle trees. And yeah, just as a housekeeping thing, if you're forgetful like I am, sometimes it's handy to write down what scales you're using for different things, just to keep track of it and keep an idea sort of what you're up to and how it's all working out. So I also take notes about what sizes seem to be working better than others. Oh yeah, that's 100. Okay. There's the 175s and the 150s. Yeah, good. Yeah, I have been there as well, having to go back and look at old stamps to figure out what's going on. 100%. I find that especially happens if I get busy doing something else and I have to come back to a map and discover that I've forgotten everything or I've lost the piece of paper that I wrote things on. There we go. All right, use the names. Yeah, absolutely. Now for these sunken areas, what I'm going to do to simulate the mountaintops for what was there is I'm just going to add a little bit of land. Fonts. So that creates a pretty sweet effect there. It's almost a little bit detrimental because it calls so much attention to this area, but I really like how those little mountains look, so I'm going to leave them like that, at least till I figure out some other stuff to throw in there to sort of add some more differentiation to them. Is that even a word? I want to work on this swamp area a bit because it doesn't look swampy enough to me. Like the green is nice, but it doesn't really scream swamp to me. Not like swamp trees. Those do not look good. Do not match the style of the map very well. Swamp fronds, here we go. Whoa. Let's make those a lot smaller. Delete that. This is one of those instances where you need to watch what the randomizer is selecting. Because it's trying to select it wants to work through the entire palette. Which, like for a forest or something like that, that works fine. But when you're trying to get a specific effect, like I'm trying to get here, where I'm trying to sort of show that this is a marshy area by adding cattails to it, having it suddenly cycle to, you know, dense shrubbery like this, kind of counter to the goal. Nice try. I'm gonna come over here, grab this brush, and just. Oh. I always got to remember what level you're working at. There we go. So that looks better now because that looks different from just being another patch of grass that's just a different color. Let's see if there's anything we can do down here. Well, let's that down there, then we'll move that down a layer. There we go. Gives the volcano a little bit more perspective to sort of hide. Oh, leave those hills there. There it is. Okay, so never playing the layer game again. To be honest, like as someone who's worked with GIS software before, that's what really impresses me by so many of the amazing artists that you'll see on the Discord for Inkarnate. It like the stuff that they're doing with this technology is just amazing. There we go. Like the complex layering they get going on for like tens of thousands of objects is just fantastic. It's beautiful to see. All right, so we're sitting at 191 changes. So hit that save button. So always save your work. Do not take the risk and hope that it will work out. Oh, absolutely. Some of the inspirational maps, I hope that when this map is done, um, it'll be close to some of the stuff that some of the creators are doing and putting out onto the Discord. All right, so we've got this is a really good start, and I like where this has gone. So now we're going to play with the landscape just a little bit more. Because we've got some hills, we've got sand dunes, and things are looking good. I'm going to go here and go to the ridge lines. Nope, that's ridge. Cliff? There they are. Well, that's way too big. So as you can see, these are really fantastic ways to create a little bit of perspective. Well, not just perspective, but like you can really dramatically change the landscape with these. You don't want to use them too much, otherwise things get a little bit weird. So I'm going to experiment with a few, see how they look, and if they like it, thumbs up. We'll keep them. If not, we'll 86 them until we're doing the actual like quarters of the map. Let's see, comment here. Oh, I haven't seen that map yet. I need to check that out. there, and then we're gonna. Hmm, I think I need to make them smaller. You know what? That'd be fantastic if you could ping me in the reply on the tweet there. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. Yeah, those are definitely too big. I'm gonna make them smaller. So this is one of the other challenges that you could run into with this program is that everything's really scaled specifically for different levels of use. And so like the world map is really scaled for world size operations, and the regional stuff is really scaled for regional, like a general how to describe an adventuring area is what I would describe as a regional map with this program. So this is like it might have like a few towns, a few village, like maybe a town, maybe a village, a few adventure locations, and then some like wilderness, built up area, all that sort of thing. But it'd be small. It'd be like a quarter. I don't know why I'm pointing. You can't see what I'm pointing at. It'd be like a quarter of this map, or even smaller. Like it might be like this space here, like just a 5 by 5 square area. Whereas when you're on the world map, it's obvious it's world level, and so if you're using regional assets at the world level, you really need to play with the scale on them more. So like I've dropped the scale down to this for down here to 50, and I'm liking how it looks a lot better. I also like how you get, because of the lines there, you get the implied cliff over there. And then using some opposite pieces, what I can do is I can create the impression that this area here is actually like one big sort of like collapsed area. Because to me, that's always been one of the great sins, if you will, of a lot of fantasy map design is when they get to prairies and other spaces like that, they look desperately uninteresting. For example, on the Forgotten Realms map, the Shar region, um, like it runs the length of Faerun across the bottom of the map. Like it literally links like the west coast to like the Sea of Alambar sort of thing. Like it's huge, but it's flat, and there's nothing really in it because there's no no human civilizations in it. There's no cities or anything else like that, and people just don't go there. Even though what little lore there is for it is actually kind of interesting, which is why I was one of the few things I was glad about in fourth edition was that giant chasm that they dropped, because all of a sudden the region became interesting. Yes, I have driven across prairies far too many times in my life, um, way too many times, mostly because if you're in the military in Canada, in Western Canada, you will have gone to Wainwright more than you'd ever want to normally go to a place like that. And the first time you go there, you're like, I don't need a car, I'll be fine. Then you get there and realize there's nothing there, and it's a 220-kilometer drive to Edmonton. And so you spend so much time driving through those prairies. Although I'll give credit where it's due, I saw the best northern lights I've ever seen in my life. Um, about 100 kilometers east of Edmonton. Like I actually had to like pull over and look up to watch the lights. They were so amazing. Let's find something for this side. Let's see how this is looking. Yeah, I like that. So this is really giving some character to this region of the map. I might add a few down here too, just orbits. Yes, I do. I do. Orbits trash cans. The thing that freaks me out about driving in Manitoba is if you're driving there in the winter, and because the terrain, because southern Manitoba pretty much is where everybody lives, because the terrain there is so flat, they just close the highways down when it snows because once the snow starts drifting, it'll drift over the highway and you can't tell where the road is like at all. It's not a case of like, oh, the road's kind of like right there. No, it's just like a straight skiff of snow. And yeah, I was not a fan of that. I think that's a big thing about driving through the prairies at any age is that it's very much a make your own fun operation. Or like if you don't make your own fun, you're going to it's going to be a long, long drive that no one's going to want to talk about for decades to come. Let's use the rotation tool. Nope. Sometimes rotation works, sometimes rotation doesn't. And it's all good. Actually, pardon me. Sorry. Let's see. It's too much. So that sync links up there perfectly. There we go. Zoom in to make sure the lines aren't too obvious. So what we'll do here, so this guy up, and we're sort of rotate it a bit. So people will know there's a cliff there, so you just want to. There we go. Grab this guy. Over. And see how that tucks in behind that hill there? It's like gives a nice effect. Like you can tell the hills sort of flow up into that area, so you have a natural path up. But the tree, yeah, really like that how that goes. Let's see here. You have to make your own fun. Yeah, absolutely. That is so very, very true about the prairies. So let's do a fit to screen. Yeah, you'd hope they'd know. Wow. Yeah, so that area looks a lot more interesting now. Like there's definitely more of a story happening. And I might add a little piece right there. That looks a little too weird. Solid concept, but a little too weird. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There's a lot you can do there with it. That's one of the things I love about this stuff is telling a story with geography. Oh, there we go. That looks all right. And one of my favorite things when I was studying archaeology at college was paleo landscapes. Just absolutely fascinating. learning what the ancient world looked like and using that interpretation to sort of try to figure out where people were doing things. That's a little bit too narrow of an entry. Honestly, it depends on the game and what I'm trying to do in it. Um, I think the only time that I've actually really paid attention to fault lines and continental drift was I can feel old. I think it was like decades ago, and we were playing Turtles Through Time because we had like transdimensional turtles, and so for the TMNT role playing game, and so we were hopping through time, and so we sort of had to pay attention to like where the continents were as we were going through time. Um, I think I think we were using like Encarta encyclopedia to keep track of it. Wow, this is like what 2 days after my birthday and just getting hit with this. Yeah, I think that's the only time that I've ever really specifically paid attention to it. That's usually a level of world building that, at least in my opinion, is hyper specific to the needs of a particular game or something like that. Like it's definitely not normal level stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Encarta. Like I remember as a kid, like thinking Encarta was like the singular most amazing thing that learning software had ever created. Because it had like all these like little like computer animated things. There's like Da Vinci's Lab and all sorts of wild stuff like that. And to my mid '90s brain, it was mind blowing. So this is part of map making that doesn't get talked about a lot, and that's when you yeah, it was super cool time. It's when you're doing stuff and you're like, yeah, I'm awesome, and then you run into some limitation of the software or the and suddenly you're just like, oh, I need to figure out how to make this work, but you don't want to change what you've done too much. Yeah, that's not too bad. A little bit of a juncture, but at least it sort of flows now. All right. 109 changes. Time to save. Yeah, Inkarnate. I actually got into it when it was still in the beta, and it's one of those few programs where I can honestly say that I have no regrets whatsoever about getting into it. And Sierra wanted something for making battle maps. I definitely felt this isn't its forte. It it's a mixed bag. I've used it to make battle maps. It can do it, but it's definitely the selection of stuff you have to work with can be a challenge. Yes, I have made this map from scratch. This is the third live stream of this, and I'm only doing work during the streams. So this is about 3 hours of work into the operation, and it's turned out pretty well so far, I think. That doesn't seem right down there. I'd like to add some cliffs to the desert area. I'll sort that out afterwards. And here I'll just zoom out for their guide so you can see. So this is 3 hours. Well, not quite 3 hours. It's like 3 hours and 44 minutes of work so far to create a map where I'm pretty much ignoring distance in favor of locations and places to have events. And it's working out pretty well so far. Okay, so that's done. Those those parts are added. Hmm, I like there's good. So I'm just going to save this. And so where the map's at right now, this is more or less what I want it to look like in terms of terrain. I did a super rough sketch on paper first. Where is it? Here. I have no idea how well that shows up. Yeah, it's yeah, ultra rough, a few notes, and that's all I've had to run on. Hey, like I was saying earlier, I've worked as a GIS technician, and not saving your work and then having like computer freeze up, program crash. I think one time I lost like 4 hours of work because I wasn't just wasn't paying attention. So never again. All right. So what I'm going to do now is come up here and then save as a clone. Demo map 2. This doesn't even have a name yet. So the reason I'm saving this as a clone is very simple. Um, Now that I have the terrain the way that I want it, I want to start adding in the trails and locations and things like that. And by cloning the map, it means that if I want to come back to a relatively blank slate, I have that option. So I'm now editing the saved copy. All right, I'm in regional. All right. So as you can see here, there's all sorts of options for your cities and all that sort of thing. They're labeled as like elf, human, dwarf, all that sort of thing. But I tend to use them just less based off the ancestry of the people that are supposed to live in it and more in the look that I'm going for. Okay. Let's start. We'll start in the desert. Desert buildings, human capital, human towers. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is play with the scale and figure out what size I want these things to be at. Yeah, yeah, same here. They have made some pretty big leaps. Um, so like they've got a nice little selection of those now. Orc buildings, regional high definition. Yeah, so you've got like jungle buildings in here. So I'm going to end up definitely using regional definition stuff for this. Like desert, like these are actually, yeah, I think I'm going to dip into the desert stuff for this. The regional HD. That doesn't look too bad, but it's not really communicating what I want it to communicate. Hmm. Oof. Well, I was incorrect. The other one was better. That's okay. It's all a learning experience with this. Yeah, exactly. It'd be nice. I really hope that they get more stamps in soon. Like I think that's probably one of the only reasons why Incarnate isn't much bigger than it could be is that there's no sci-fi map options yet. There's no sci-fi stamps, and it's really limited in the number of stamps that are available for stuff. Like for example, there we go. Yeah, like that. There we go. That guy there. Let's get out of that. Go back into Fantasy World. Desert. And we're going to flip the horizontal. There we go. Yeah. There we go. So as you can see, I had to play with the scales to lay out these settlements here, because this one's, what, 75, 50, and this one had to be size 100. Um, so it really shows how you have to. Probably going to shrink this one down. But it shows how you have to play around with cities a lot more, because you're trying to communicate not just their size, but the importance they have as well. Hmm. There we go. So yeah, so now that one's 125, or there we go, 125. This little one is only 40, and this one is at 75. All right, yeah, looking good. Looking good. There we go. Throw a tower right there. And so this really sort of drives home the trackless nature of the desert here. And here, relatively close to the entrance, we can put a little, almost like a little entry city, or entry point. 75 is good size. And that leaves all this space up here available for adventure. You've got all the distances. That's definitely got adventure written all over it. Coming over here, I think the challenge is I don't think they've got any jungle icons. Yeah, it's just like trees and stuff. So that's going to be a problem for next week. Um, because in order to put stuff in here, I'm either going to have to use some last case 100 kilometers out of the entrance. Exactly. Um, I'm going to have to do something like play around with the regional stuff because I don't want to just throw anything down there and just call it a day. I definitely want to have something a bit more themed. Okay, fantasy world. What do we got to play with? Like I've used these a lot too. Just use the regular like the icon sets. Um, but I want this to be a little bit fancy. So I drop some of the isometric stuff on here. All right, that's definitely going somewhere. Yeah, I like it. And we'll add one more stamp before we close it up for the day. I believe the tower I did was 75 before. Let's confirm that. Yeah, 75. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today for this. It's been a. I feel like you haven't worked in GIS's cheat code. It is a little bit. Yeah, it's there's absolute advantages to having worked in GIS before. Same thing. Anybody who's done a lot of like artistic map making, they're definitely got a cheat code going on when working with Inkarnate as well. Yeah, that's very true. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. I'm just gonna hit the save button here. Then we'll take a look at quick review over all the things that happened, and yeah, this was good. This was a good solid hour of map making. Lots of changes, lots of updates. Countdown, 100%. There we go. All right, so stuff that we did today. We rerouted the river, so it wasn't just like a straight slash across the map. Gives it a bit more character, adds a little bit more potential. We also added these little islands down here to break up the mouth of the river as it goes into the ocean. We got our mountain peaks added to the Sunken Continent Lost Empire. We did a whole bunch of cliff building work in here to give this plains area a bit more character and a little bit more adventure inspiration. We zoomed in, came in here and added some scaled down regional swamp grass and cattails and stuff to create a more swamp sort of feel of that area. And then down here in the desert, we finally got started with laying out our settlements. So we used a capital building here and here. By this a bit large oasis, we've got a little building there. We threw a tower down there because why not? Towers are good. And sort of like as pointed out in the chat, last gas for 1,000 kilometers or for 100 kilometers, right here at the entry point coming in from that direction. So yeah, lots of stuff done today. It's been really great. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and check me out on social media, pocgamer.com. And if you really like everything that you see going on here, check out my Patreon and check out my coffee, because this is what I'm doing for a living now. So every bit that comes in helps out. So take care. Hope you all have a great day.